Welcome back to Our Issues Twin Cities. We're back with Shoua Lee, and we're going to talk about safety now of the Central Corridor, the Green Line. There's so many issues. If you've driven down University Avenue, when I see it, I almost get a little intimidated thinking of trying to turn left or right and making sure I don't hit anyone. Let's talk about the importance of educating the public, pedestrians and drivers, on the safety around the Central Corridor.
We are running our big safety campaign this summer. So we're going out to the schools, to senior centers, nonprofit organizations, and neighborhood groups to talk about safety because it is such an important thing, and the trains will be testing this fall. We have created materials, some pretty great materials that we've put together. These are a couple examples. One is a kid-oriented brochure, which can be a little silly, but also very serious at the same time, and talks all about do not fly your kites near the lines, the power lines, that kind of thing, things that people may not think about. That the tracks are not an area to bring your skateboard and try out tricks and that kind of thing. And then a brochure for adults that talks about paying attention to the traffic and pedestrian signals and those kinds of things. There's new design of the roadway, mid-block crossings that weren't there before, and so these are things that we want to acclimate the community to, and some of it will involve simply taking them out on tours and having them get a feel for what it's like to be in the light rail. We took out some 8th and 9th graders, about 45 of them, just a few weeks ago, had them ride the Hiawatha light rail, talked about the signs, and had them ride the train and talk to them about the safety features at the stations and things like that. So it was actually a lot of fun, even wrangling 45 students together and getting them on that, and then also took them on a bus ride along the entire Central Corridor or Green Line so that they could see where the stations would be and where the stations are, and get them a feel from it. Many of them live right in St. Paul, but their school is just one block from the Central Station downtown St. Paul. So those are kind of some of the things that we're doing to get the public educated about safety.
What kind of questions do you get about safety?
Oh, we get things like, oh, well, when you come up to these crossings, does that mean we're supposed to stop for people? And you say, yes, that's why you see the pedestrian, the standard pedestrian signal there. Even if you see someone crossing and you're in a car, you are supposed to stop for them. But we also tell pedestrians, don't use that as oh, I'm just going to jet out in front of a car. You should still navigate the road and pay attention to, the cars, and then when you see a clearance in the traffic, then you can cross. But those crossings don't have a signal, and so in some areas of St. Paul never had signals, like Farrington or Kent, and so those are some of those areas are still the same. It still doesn't have a signal that says stop for traffic and go walk for pedestrians. So they still have to navigate their way through, but they do have refuge areas in the light rail area, whereas before they did not.
So there are people in the Twin Cities who are just not used to the idea of a car, a train of any sort right in the middle of a busy street like University Avenue. Is that a bit of a challenge when you're trying to educate people, because you're really starting at ground zero with some people who are not used to this?
Yes, there are a lot of seniors, though, that live in the Episcopal homes just across the street that do remember the trolley car. So that'd be great to have them as safety ambassadors in the future.
Absolutely.
But yes, a lot of the younger folks have not lived around light rail, and if they didn't ride the Hiawatha yet, then they haven't experienced it. But like I said, a lot of it will be taking them out, getting them comfortable crossing the street with the non-signalized pedestrian crossings and the pedestrian crossings. A really important note is at these major intersections, people do have to press a walk button, in order to get the pedestrian signal now. But they didn't have to do that before. So that's a very, very important component. If you don't press the button, you won't get a walk light. So those are the kinds of things that we're trying to get out there to the community, and it's really a matter of going around to all these different organizations and letting them know, and then also putting it into materials. And so a lot of presentations to the community, but also venues like this, and letting folks know through television and other sources.
Do you look to other cities as examples as you are trying to do this?
Absolutely. I actually took a trip to the Revolution conference last fall and learned a lot from Los Angeles about their safety ambassador program and how they had folks out there at the platforms just kind of talking to folks and getting them acclimated to how to use the station when it first opened. And so I brought that back, and not only did they talk to folks about the safety, but they also watched what people would do. So what were the habits what kind of rules were they breaking, and what could we do better? Do we need to put out more signs in this area, or or maybe a bigger sign, clearer sign, what was missing, so that they could tweak things after it had already opened, after the line had already opened. And I believe that was the Expo line in Los Angeles. So those were good things to learn. They said a lot of the incidences that occurred over there were really more with adults and not as much with kids, because kids like to follow rules, they like to press buttons. So they said, don't, definitely include the kids in safety programs, but also don't forget to target those adults, because they're the ones who are in a rush, that are late for meetings and things like that. So we got to remind them, like, they have to follow the rules too. So yeah, those are some really good tidbits of information from Los Angeles.
How do businesses play into all this? Because I would assume they would help with part of this safety aspect.
Yes, absolutely. We've gone to the UBS Plaza in downtown St. Paul. We've got meetings set up with Ecolab and NPR. So we're going out to a lot of these businesses, to the hospitals, Regents Hospital in Bethesda. We're asking for us to, we will be arranging with them to go out during their lunches and, set up a booth and talk to patients and staff that go to lunch every day, and talk to them about safety and put out and give them our brochures and safety information. So the businesses are integral. They will be, our partners in getting the safety word out.
In our last segment, we focused on some of the struggles that businesses have had since the construction, but now so many businesses are very excited about what's ahead and what can be. How will they be helped? How will the Met Council, the cities, make sure that businesses thrive in this Green Line era?
Well, so far we've put $1.2 million into our marketing campaign to really promote the businesses along the corridor. And that's been everything from putting ads in the city pages to doing bus sides and billboards. And so we've heard a lot of great things from that. They also use a lot of social media to advertise like events that may be going on around town. There was a Valentine's Day special, Mother's Day special, and different restaurants that participated in that would get the little post on the Facebook page. And so we've really tried hard to help support these businesses through the difficult time of construction.
What is your hope as we get so close to seeing this happen?
Oh, my hope is that, that the businesses and the community really do benefit just a ton from this project. We've put our, blood, sweat, and tears into it, and we really believe in transit in this community. And so I hope that the businesses will later say, I've got these new customers that have never come in before, and now they say, they're taking the light rail to my shop or to my restaurant. And that's really what I look forward to hearing.
Good. Shoua, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for Our Issues, Twin Cities.